Do you want to powder paint your jig heads so you have a nice even coat on them and they look really good, but you end up having this issue right here where you got a little nipple on the end of it, or the eye of the hook is all clogged up with paint? Well, one of the things you need to do is build yourself a fluid bed. So over the years, I've built a few different fluid beds, and this is one of my old ones. And this thing, it still works, but there's a few things that I don't really like about it. One, it's hard to change colors in it. It just didn't work very well. And that's really the main thing. So I've built a few others. I had one that had 2 different cups in it, and so I could do a 2-tone jig in it, but I never really found myself doing 2-tone jigs. If I did, I'd usually just take a cup and just sprinkle some powder paint over the top of it. So the 2-cup thing really didn't work for me. And since that first couple builds, I've settled on this design right here. Now, how we're going to build it? Well, y'all hang on. Let's get to it. So here's everything you're going to need to build Fluid Bed 2.0. Starting off, you're going to need a scrap piece of 2x10. You're going to need a piece of 2-inch PVC pipe. And from that PVC pipe, you're going to need to cut a 3.5-inch piece and a 3-inch piece, a 2-inch PVC table leg cap, a 2-inch test cap, a 2-inch PVC female adapter, a 2-inch PVC male adapter, a 1/4-inch NPT valve, a 1/4-inch air hose, an air pump, a 1 micron by 60 millimeter nylon filter, some powder paint, jigs to paint, and then there's some miscellaneous tools like a drill and drill bits. And all these pieces come together to make Fluid Bed 2.0. We're going to put this Fluid Bed 2.2 together. So to start with, we're going to take our block of wood here and our table leg base here. And you might ask, why are you using that? It's got the 3 screw holes in it. Well, you could take another piece of just a 2 or 3 inch piece of PVC, 2-inch PVC, and then just take that and put it into there and glue that down or something, or just let it set like that. Now, the reason I'm using this thing is because, well, if you've ever spilt a cup of powder paint, you would know that you want to have this thing secured somewhere so it doesn't tip over on you. So to get started, just got our drill driver here. We've got our screws. We're just going to look on this thing, see where we want to put it. And we're just going to put that screw in there. And just mount that down. Like that, and we've got our base mounted. And it's real sturdy. This thing's not going to tip over. All right, so once we've got our piece here attached to the base, the next thing we need to do is we need to take our 3-inch piece of 2-inch PVC. And we're just going to take that and we're going to push it down in there. Now, it may be a little tough, so what you can do is take a block of wood, put that on there, and whack it a few times. So I'm just going to put that down on the ground and whack this thing a few times and seat that down in there. All right, we have that seated down in there. Now the next piece we got here is our male threaded adapter, and we're just going to do the same thing. We're just going to put this thing down, and we're just going to push that down on there until it seats, and we're just going to put it down on the ground and whack it with the block of wood again. So there we go. We have it all put together and seated. The next thing we need to do is we need to install our airflow control valve. Now this one is threaded, and I have taken those things and just pushed a piece of airline tube through them and then kind of super glued around it and everything, but those sometimes seem like over time, they'll come loose and you got to redo it, so the threaded one is the way to go, I think. And I've used this one before, and this thing seems to work pretty well. On this build, however, I was going to try to use this brass airflow control knob, and this little dial here, you control the airflow with it, but when I tested this thing, when it was closed, it still leaked air. So this thing is no bueno. So when you get your air control flow valve, test that thing out before you install it to make sure that it works correctly. So all we're going to do is we're just going to kind of line this thing up here and see where it needs to go in there. And that's why I used a 3-inch piece of PVC, so that I have plenty of room to seat this thing all the way down in there and still be able to operate the valve control here. So all we're going to do is we're going to kind of line that up. Then I've just got a center punch, and where I want that thing to go, I hope it don't break it, but yeah, it didn't completely go off, but there's a little nipple there, someplace for the drill bit to catch to. And then all I've got on my drill is I've just got a step bit, and we're going to go to about 3/8 and see how that goes. We might have to go a little bit more, but here it goes. I don't want to go too far on that because I want this thing to seat really good in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this brass one that I had, and I'm going to insert it in here and see if I can't get it to thread this piece of PVC here. And I think we're going to have to go a little bit more. I think we're going to have to go just a little bit more on it. So let's go one more step on this thing. I think we'll be at the last one. Go one more step. Make sure I'm not going to hit the other side. All right, there we go. I think we got our hole now. Let's see if we can thread this brass one in here now. Yep, it's going to thread in there. So this is going to take a little bit minute for me to get this thing screwed in here, so I'm going to cut the camera off, and then when I get this thing screwed in, we'll be right back. All right, we got this thing screwed in. We're going to take it out, and then if you can see there, it's got some threads in it, which now we can take our other valve here, and we can screw this dude in just like that right there, and we're ready to go. Now, if this thing ever does start leaking around here, you can put some Teflon tape on it and take care of that. But I think we'll be good with that right there right now. So the next thing we got to do, after we've got the base of the cup done, we need to put together the upper cup. So that's where our threaded female end comes, and our 3.5-inch piece comes in. Our test cap plug here, and our 1 micron by 60 millimeter nylon filters. Now, why these? Well, 1 micron filter has large enough holes to let the air through, but they're also small enough to not let the powder paint go back through. So when I looked it up, the average powder paint particle size was like 5 microns. So this should allow sufficient airflow to go through, and it should be even. And that's one of the reasons I'm going to these, is to have that even flow of air coming through. Because if you use a paper or a coffee filter or something else, paper bag or whatever, you get those volcanoes. We're trying to eliminate that with this 1 micron filter. And then as far as the 3.5 inches on this piece of 2-inch PVC, well, you could cut it at 3 or 2.5 or whatever, but what I'm trying to prevent is powder paint coming, even if it's in there and it's flowing correctly, I'm trying to keep it from flowing out of the cup and onto the table, and just trying to keep the mess contained into this. And then the test plug, all this is for is when you're done, you can put that thing on and seal up your cup. So to get started, we're going to use a little bit of super glue, and what we're going to do is this little lip around here, we're going to put a little bit of super glue around that, and we're going to put our filter down in there and glue that around, and then we're going to take our piece of PVC, we're going to put it back in, we're going to put it on the ground like we did the other ones, we're going to put a piece of wood on there and give it a tap to seat that thing down. So let's just take a filter out here. Okay, so we've got a filter, and all it's going to do is it's going to fit in there just like that right there. And that 60 millimeter size is the perfect size to not have to cut it out. It fits right down into this cup real nice. So all we're going to do is we're going to take our Loctite super glue, and this is the super glue we use to glue weed guards in and everything else. So this is really handy for your tackle making. And we're just going to put a couple of drops in here. Just enough to glue that filter down. Set that aside. And then we're just going to lay our filter in here. And just kind of press it down around the edges to glue it down. Kind of like that right there. You can see that. And then all we're going to do is we're going to take our 3-inch piece of PVC here. We're just going to seat that down in there. And then we're just going to take our block of wood, we're going to come here and we're just going to give it a couple of taps, okay? And we're going to do that off camera. And there we go. We've got our upper cup, and then we can just take our test piece right there and put that on, or our test cap. We got powder paint in there, and that'll keep anything from getting down in there. And then all you got to do, once you have your lower cup and your paint cup here, these just screw together like this right here, and you've got a real easy fluid bed. It's pretty easy. And then all you got to do after that is take your air pump and then just stick that hose in there like that. This is off, and when it's on, you just turn it on, and it's real easy peasy. So here's one other reason I like to use this kind of air control valve. If you want to kind of disassemble this thing so you don't have this air hose and pump and everything connected to it, all you got to do is push here on the clip with your fingers and then kind of pull out at the same time. You can take your pump and your air hose, store them away, put them out of the way, and it's real convenient. So one more thing about these paint cups. When you go to buy these female 2-inch adapters, is pay attention to which ones you got, because I got this one right here, and you can see it's quite a bit taller than this one. Now this will work and everything, but if you ever have to replace the filter in there, and you will over time, you'll have to replace it, knocking this thing out of this receiver is a whole lot easier than knocking it out of this one. And then here's what else I do with these things, is I just write the color that I've got on them. So once you get several of these things made, you know, you can have different colors in these, and you can just switch them in and out, and you can keep from cross-contaminating your color. So what I like to do is I've got one that's just labeled for black. I've got another one for brown that I'll use brown colored powder paint in. I've got one that I just use white in, because you don't really want to mess around with the white, because you put anything else in there, you're going to not have white. So Here's two blank ones I've got ready to go. These are the ones we just made. Anyways, I think that's about it. If you guys got any questions on how to make this thing or have any other suggestions, I'm here to listen, because like I said, I've made several of these things, and so far this is the design that I really like the best. So let's put some powder paint in one of these and see how it works. All right, we have dumped a whole jar of white here into this powder cup, and we are going to slowly turn this thing on. We've got a few little volcanoes in there, but we're going to turn it all the way up. You can see it's going in there pretty well. One thing I do like to do is take a little paintbrush and stir this thing up. And there we go. You can see it going in there pretty well. I don't know if you can see the dust coming off of that. I do like to wear a N95 mask when I'm doing this, just because you do get that dust coming out of it. That's looking pretty good.